All right. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of BNA Sports Talk. And today I'm giving you guys my MLB season predictions. Now, the MLB season starts in 2 days for me right now. It's July 21st. The Yankees open up against the Nationals, and then the Dodgers and the Giants face off. It's going to be a very interesting season, to say the least. I'm pretty sure you guys know all the rules about this upcoming season. So without any delay, let's get into my season predictions. This year, I'm going to really try to get better with all those like minute details and things like that. But I think that a lot of people are discounting how many wins teams are going to get. The better team is going to win. I don't understand. People are saying the highest win team is going to be around 35, 36. No, I think it's going to be the Yankees with around 40. The Rays are going to be somewhere hovering right behind them at around, 4 wins less. I don't understand why the Rays haven't really been a successful team. It's Tampa. Same thing with Miami. It's just like I thought all the good players were in those states. I guess like with the money, the players flock to different teams. But for now, the Rays, good coach, good bats, good pitching, and I think that they'll be somewhere. They'll be a wild card team. And me as the Yankees biased, I have to have them at the number 2 spot. I think that the Blue Jays are going to be number 3. You brought in Ryu. Now you solidified that number 1 pitching rotation. Obviously, the loss of Marcus Stroman is bad, but I think they do have a lot of young talent coming up. I think they're going to be somewhere hovering around 500. The Red Sox are going to be behind them. The loss of Mookie Betts, David Price, Chris Sale. Who do they have now? They have Benintendi. JD Martinez, I'm not too sure what they're going to get out of him. It feels like a lost season for them. It feels like they're just going to sell off this year, just continue to sell off and sell off. That's why I have them in 4th place. And finally, the Orioles. You have Trey Mancini, I guess, and I don't really see a lot of progress with this team. Obviously, getting rid of Buck Showalter was the first step in this getting to that next step, but I think they're have around 20 wins. People think it's going to be really tight. I don't think so. I also highlighted on the screen the teams that I think are going to be wild card contenders. And the Rays, I think, are going to make the wild card. I don't think the Blue Jays are contenders yet this year. Next, the Twins, just a solid team, but they can't really get over the hump, the Yankees hump, kind of like how the Yankees can't get over the Astros hump. Solid pitching, really solid bats. I don't think they're really losing anyone to COVID. Overall, just a really solid team. Lost, I think, Josh Donaldson. I could be wrong about that, but they lost one of their star players. But you still have Nelson Cruz. You still have, a solid infield, solid gloves there. And I think the Twins are going to be hovering on 36, 37 wins. The White Sox, I think, are going to have a wild card team. Now, this is a major boom or bust team. I actually have one of their players winning an award later in this video, but I think they're an ultimate boom or bust team. It could be that team that wins the offseason like the Padres did last year and then completely falls flat. I definitely can see it, but for the sake of being different, for the sake of being interesting, why not have the White Sox? We know how many players they brought in. Yasmani Grandal. You have you feel like a solid pitching rotation now. Not the best. I question their bullpen depth, but overall they're solid. Next, the Indians, just behind them at 32 wins. I do think that they're a wild card contender, but do they get rid of their shortstop Francisco Lindor? They lost some pitching depth. It feels like this team is like slowly fading, but they may have a little bit of a last punch. It'll be interesting to see. Royals, Tigers, they're rebuilding. The Tigers, I'd be surprised if they get to 20 wins. I'm taking the under on them all the way. I don't care about Miguel Cabrera. They lost Nick Castellanos, whatever. I don't think that they're going to be a good team this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they had 15 wins because they just sell off. Next, the Astros, 37 wins. Obviously, we know the Garrett Cole to the Yankees move. That's a plus for the Yankees. They have their coach in Busty Baker. I think that, he's going to be a solid veteran leadership for him, but I saw Jose Altuve today. There's some things with injuries. Do they kind of have a dud season? Obviously, the banging stuff is not really going to happen, so I think that the Astros are going to still be a solid team. They're just an overall talented team. You can't really bang trash cans when there's no fans in the stands, so it'll be interesting to see them this year. The Athletics are a very interesting team. I have them as a wild card contender as well as the Angels. The Angels, at Mike Trout's not playing, they're not going to be there, but they've done a decent amount of job addressing their pitching rotation. The Athletics are just a overall rounded team. You have Matt Chapman, you have Matt Olson, and you have Simeon and all these, solid players. It feels like they compete every single year. I just don't see them making the playoffs this year. They're going to be a game or two behind. I just wanted the White Sox to make it just for the sake of being a little bit different because it feels like a lot of people are just putting in the Athletics. But they're a solid overall team. I won't even be surprised if they're challenging the Astros towards the end of the season or whatever. And next, the Rangers. You have Joey Gallo. You did bring in some, older, I think, talents that I'm not too sure if they're going to gel well. I think they're overall like around a 500 win team. I think Them and the Angels are similar talent-wise. I think that the Angels, have Shohei Ohtani with them in the bat. There's a little bit more sauce to that team, so that's why I have the Rangers behind them. And then the Mariners, they're going back up, but it feels like every single year in the beginning of the season they ended up doing well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go on like a 7-2 run, but they'll fade towards the end of the season. They may be a little bit interesting though. And then you have the National League. You know what? I have the Nationals winning the East. I always shortcut the Braves, but it feels like a bunch of players are quitting. Obviously, the addition with Yasiel Puig, that's going to be good for them. But yeah, I have them as a contender. Same thing with the Phillies. It feels like they can't get over the hump. There's just like an overall solid team, but can they compete? You have Harrison, you have Didi Gregorius, you have Ronald Torreyes from the Yankees. Feels like they're just meh, if that makes any sense. I'm not too sure if they're with the top dogs. But I won't be surprised if they win the division as well. The Mets, I have them at 26 wins now. This is another team that could surprise a lot of people, kind of like what I mentioned with the Indians before. But I think that the Mets, I look at their pitching rotation. This is just a year I feel like doomed to disappoint. You think you have a bunch of talent coming up. You want to Cespedes, you feel like everything's coming together. But don't forget they don't have a Thor. They don't have Thor this year. They have Jacob deGrom. He's dealing with some nagging injuries. I think he should be fine though. They have Marcus Stroman, but I don't love Seth Lugo. Can't have a bunch of errors in the field. I think their bullpen is going to really be tested this year and really thinned out. I like Betances though, and I think the Marlins are going to be right behind them. For some reason, I feel like this team, they're going to pop. They're going to win a couple games that they're not supposed to win. They're going to surprise some teams. Obviously, you're playing just the National League East and the American League East. That's something that I didn't really mention throughout this entire video. They are playing just in their own region. I should have mentioned that a little bit more. But the Marlins may surprise some people, I think. But again, I won't be surprised if they have 15 wins. But why not give them some credit there? The Cardinals, I put them at first because a lot of people have the Reds. I'm not a huge believer in the Cardinals. In fact, this is probably the opinion that I'm least confident about. It's kind of like with the White Sox opinion. You have the Reds, solid pitching rotation. Take a look at the top three of Bauer. I think Castillo, I think that's his name. I could be wrong with that. And then Sonny Gray. That could be good. Sonny Gray's slider looks like it's coming back. From what I hear, I don't know. But they make the wild card. The Brewers and the Cubs are wild card contenders. I don't think that they make it. Josh Hader could be important for them. The Cubs, they have John Ross. You have a new head coach. I think that, this team is an ultimate boom or bust. If we're talking about boom or bust, this is it. I think that they have a higher chance to make the playoffs than do the Mets, even though they're one game ahead. I think they have a way better chance to do it. It just feels like this team is fading. They're like the Indians, remember, a couple years ago. They were great, and it feels like they're slowly falling, but they may have a little bit left. I just don't think they have the pitching depth. The Pirates could be interesting. They're a team like the Mariners that surprised in the beginning of the year and then ultimately fade out. It feels like they have had a bunch of talents over the years, but they couldn't really put a good season together. That should be interesting there. And yeah, I didn't mention the Braves and Phillies are wild card contenders in my mind. The next wildcard team I have is the Diamondbacks, but they're behind the Dodgers in first place, who have around 41 wins. I just think that, especially with the DH in the National League, they're just going to be raking on a bunch of teams, the pitching, the everything with this team. I feel like they're all in. I don't think Mookie Betts is going to have as great of a season as people think, because you're going to have to deal with the new pitching, really unfamiliar pitching in this division. New scenery, new everything like that. So I think that he doesn't have like a monster season. I'll take the under and any like prop bets you have on him. But the Diamondbacks, you have Robbie Ray. Don't have the best pitching rotation, but you brought in Madgabum. You have Ketel Marte that, these top players that overperformed last year may take a step back. But I think this is an overall solid team. I think that they make the playoffs this year. The Padres, I feel like they're destined to a 500 season. I get it, Manny Machado, but I don't really love their pitching. Chris Paddock could be a little interesting there, but I still don't think they're quite there yet. The Rockies and Giants are going to be bad. The Giants are kind of just punting on the season. They may be the worst team in the league. They got rid of Mad Bum. There's not really good for them. And then the Rockies have a bunch of talent, but that questioning that pitching. But they may be interesting because they have home field. And again, their DH, whoever comes there, may just do a good job because, he's used to that stadium over there. And then if we get into my playoffs, the Yankees face the Rays. This could be a 5-game set. I have the Rays. I didn't feel like including it in the graphic because it would have looked a little bit too cluttered. I have the Rays beating the White Sox. Because they're top pitching talent in about 5 games. The Astros beat the Twins in about 4. And then the Yankees-Astros, I have the Astros winning because I just don't want to pick the Yankees because I pick them every single year. But why not this year? Don't pick them, and then they make it to the World Series. please, Yankees make the World Series. It feels like the Dodgers and the Yankees, either of them don't win the World Series. It's a disappointment. But how did the Dodgers get there? They defeat the Reds, and then Nationals. I don't think the Cardinals have that top-end pitching depth. You could say Flaherty, whatever, but I don't really trust their, the top and the middle of their lineup, really. I don't really trust the Cardinals' middle lineup. I think the Nationals face the Dodgers again in a rematch. The Dodgers win that one. I don't want to explain and analyze all these playoffs and splitters and pitches like that. This is just a video to kind of get my opinions out there. And here's into the fun part. Here are my awards. Shohei Ohtani wins MVP because he's going to look great. He's going to be pitching. He's going to be throwing. I think he's going to be really healthy this year. So I think that, he's going to get votes. And Duhar didn't win Rookie of the Year, even though he should have. And that year, Aaron Boone's going to be the Coach of the Year because he's going to have over 40 wins. It's going to be very impressive, and there's not going to be another team that really stands out besides really the White Sox in this league. And then Lucas Giolito, his first 2 years of his career struggled. Last year at a 3.5 ERA. I think this year he really stands out, and he's the reason why the White Sox perform. So I have him winning the Cy Young. Cody Bellinger, the MVP. He's one of the best players in the league. And, he was just behind, I think, Christian Yelich. I forgot who won the MVP last year. I think he might have, but I think it was Christian Yelich, if I'm not mistaken. The Coach of the Year, Joe Cruzel, from, I believe it's the Cardinals. I should have checked that earlier. I think he's from the Cardinals, but you have a bunch of people talk about the Reds, the Brewers, and him winning this division, I think, is going to be impressive. Cy Young, Walker Buehler, just a part of this beast Dodgers lineup. And then the leaders, just home runs and average, because I don't feel like including all these minor stats like stolen bases, doubles, RBIs. I think that Aaron Judge is going to lead the league with 21. Yes, 21. One home run in every 3 games. You divide 162 by 3, and you get around 50-something, so that's around average. But you expect a little bit more. People are dividing, stats like it's going to be even. No, you expect a little bit more because of, less sample size, more opportunity for things to be not closer to the mean. And then Matt Chapman, 343, could get him some MVP votes, but I think that, they don't make the playoffs, so it's kind of weird like that. And then Bryce Harper has 17 home runs. I think that I think that with the crowd noise and things like that, he's not going to get distracted by the fans and different things like that. He's going to have around 17 home runs. Then Ronald Acuna Jr. actually leads the league in home runs with 352. And he gets some MVP votes, but the Braves, he may win MVP. It depends on how good the Braves do. But for the sake, I don't have the Braves doing that well. But here are my leaders. Here's everything. Let me know what you guys think. Agree, disagree, everything in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.